It's time. It's time. I'm told it's time. Wow. Where's Dave? Did he leave? Oh my gosh, you scared him. I'm so glad you're all here. I'm glad for such a great turnout. Dave is always enjoyable and worth having, and so it's all thanks to him. But here. All right, so someone spelled my name wrong on that first screen, so there'll be punishments after club. Barry's going to talk about packages. You go.
Well, same info.
Up front, dude. Up front.
Packages are coming April the 7th.
House
Be
in
there in the
Nebraska.
square.
Picking them up on the 6th, delivering here to the, I'm guessing, the parking lot on the 7th from noon to 2.
Noon to 2. Don't make us wait all day.
So I haven't heard that there was any, they're going to be late or anything. So as far as right now, we're still scheduled for pickup in Kentucky on the 6th and delivering here on the 7th. So, and we had one person that can't be there and wants to sell there too. Is Jane here?
Right here.
Yeah.
Oh, there she is.
So one person, so we got 2 available. If anybody's,
So they have 2 packages on order that they're not able to be here for the pickup. If anyone is interested in purchasing those 2 packages from this lady in the back, you would need to talk to her. There she is. So great.
so go ahead.
One more thing. So I sent out an email to the folks that are signed up. If you signed up and did not receive an email about those packages, contact me. You should have received something. So that's the email source that I'll use to let you know where we are in delivery, we're on time, we're going to be late, whatever. That's the information stream that we'll use to communicate with you on that
That's
Sunday when the packages and what all's going on.
Let's pray
So-
for one weather.
So if you didn't receive, if you ordered a package, and didn't receive that email, come contact me tonight. Yeah, and let me-
Okay.
With that package, then connect here with the Jane that's got it for sale.
Raise your hand again,
Raise your
Jane.
hand, Jane.
Jane, raise your hand. There'll be arm wrestling for
So here's
Jane's
some here,
packages
one
after
slot.
work.
Right there, right here.
Sorry.
Bidding war.
You know what? You guys are going to need to talk about that back there. So I honestly don't know. So you're welcome to go back there and discuss it. Dave, all these people are here because of you.
Oh
I advertised you all over Facebook, and they wanted to hear you.
All right.
All right, but I'm not ready for you yet. So Jim needs a few minutes to talk about the new building workshops.
Yes, I will be brief. So, you want to be man? So, we got a workshop coming up on March 30th. That's not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, and it's going to be to come and build your very
I broke it.
come and build your very own nuke box. So, and this is not only going to allow you to come and build one or more. If you want to register to build several, you can do that. $20 a piece to come build them. We'll have all the materials, tools, and equipment there, plus people who know how to not nail their hand to a board, hopefully.
Super important.
These nukes, I happened to grab ones that didn't have an entrance disc on it, but they will have an entrance disc on them as well. They've got a hole in the top for a feeder jar. They're sized for 5 frames, very standard. You'll also go home with drawings and such and cutting diagrams to make your own. You can make these from 4 to a sheet plywood. You want to make your own nuke box.
You need to put handles on the dry.
It has handles right here. You can nail handles on the side if you want. If you don't have a nuke box, even if you only got one hive, you should at least have one nuke box.
That is
Because
true.
when you do an inspection and you pull it out and you find those queen cells and you go, oh, she's getting ready to swarm, what do I do? You need to have a nuke box handy so that you can start moving that old queen over or manipulate however you want to do. So, if you're interested, and you all should be, sign up with Colleen in the back. She will take payment of cash, check, card, no card, cash, check, or small children. Accepted in the back. There's also flyers back there that look like this. Okay. If you've already signed up, but you didn't get one of these flyers, please stop back there and get one because it has the address of where the workshop is going to be. That's going to be important come the 30th. Okay? So we look forward to seeing you all. I'll be in the back if anyone has questions.
Thank you.
Nicely brief.
Oh, Saturday, May 11th, Kathleen Crow, the state apiarist is going to be here to go through our hives here at Cool Creek Park. Really excited. We haven't done that with her before. Excellent opportunity to experience Kathleen for all of you that are intimidated by the thought of having her, which is absolutely unnecessary. She's wonderful to work hives with. So she'll be here on Saturday, May 11th from 1 to 3. Mark your calendar and come out and be with us there. May 18th, Hamilton County Master Gardener's Plant Sale. And you can talk to Jeanette back there for more details about that. I think that is worth your time. That's at the 4-H Fairgrounds. Yes.
4-H Fairgrounds in Noblesville.
And then there's a Cool Creek Park Plant Sale.
Yep.
Anyone know about that?
I think it said starting pretty soon, but they can check in here at the Cool Creek Nature Center. It's right next door.
Okay, awesome. We have awesome raffle items for tonight. The table is really full of unique things. Ron Baston donated a plastic nuke box, which is not nearly as good as the one you're going to build at the Nuke Building Workshop, but it can suffice. And then there's quite a few other things, including farm eggs from my farm, so you're welcome.
And there's also a certificate for admission to the
Sustainable.
Nuke Building Workshop,
Okay.
including one nuke.
Awesome. There you go. Very much. And those are all dollar tickets, is that correct?
$1 a piece, 6 for $5.
Okay, good deal. And just a reminder, the Fall Beekeepers of Indiana Conference is in French Lick this year, and the speaker is Randy Oliver. Is that what I heard? Randy Oliver. He has not been a speaker in Indiana before. Super excited to have someone of that caliber. October 25th. Sign up for that. Anything else? Yes,
June
ma'am.
5th, the Sustainable Apiary that we're,
June the
15th, Saturday the 15th.
Saturday, June 15th is our Sustainable Apiary Workshop, which we used to call Nuke Fest, but it was too confusing. So now we're just calling it Sustainable Apiary. We are having a guest speaker, Mr. Mel Disselcoin.
Ms. Kellmeyer?
Yes. What? Yes.
One addendum to the Nuke Building Workshop, there are no bees involved in that. Don't get bees.
Get a box.
You get a box. No
Which is
frame to the
why we
box
changed-
either. It's just the box.
Which is why we
Just to avoid
changed the
confusion.
name to the Sustainable
No bees,
Apiary.
no nothing. You get a box.
That's right. So Mel Disselcoin is our guest speaker, and unfortunately, it's the same day as the Purdue Bee Lab Summer Field Day. We did not know that when we scheduled Mel already earlier in the year, and
Come see us.
unfortunately, it is what it is. So either one is worth going to.
$35 includes a box lunch.
Thank you. That is for the Sustainable Apiary. The Purdue Field Day, I'm not sure what that price is. You'll have to look at it. Okay, anything else? On to Terry. Terry Adcock,
I just,
President of Beekeepers
I
of
think we've
Indiana.
already covered most of what I was going to talk about. The main thing I wanted to remind everybody to mark your calendars for October 25th to 26th. That's when we have our meeting down at French Lick, and Randy Oliver. That should be a great presentation there. We should get a lot of good information out of that one. So I want to make sure everybody knows about those dates so they can mark their calendar for that. The only other thing, and I forgot to ask Jim, do we have any update on the legislation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, real quick. We had Beekeepers of Indiana had introduced 2 pieces of legislation this year into this legislative session. One was to address the issue of third-party sales of honey, essentially allowing small beekeepers to be able to sell honey other than face-to-face, which is the current law. We've actually withdrew that piece of legislation because we worked with the health department and we found a way around it without needing the legislation using the current law. And that information is going to be coming out probably this month. I'm not really going to go into it, but it has to do with registering your operation just a little bit differently. But it will allow essentially small beekeepers to meet the requirements for third-party sales without having to go through a lot of the very onerous food establishment requirements, which was kind of the obstacle. The other piece of legislation is we're trying to get a bill passed which will prohibit communities and other governmental entities from prohibiting beekeeping. So it would keep the town of Westfield, for example, from passing an ordinance saying you can't keep bees in the town of Westfield, or town of Fishers being probably our closest real issue. That bill has been through 3 readings. I'm actually going to be testifying before the Senate Ag Committee tomorrow morning at 8:30 for the last reading in the Senate. We're looking to reword it just a little bit to make it a little bit more bulletproof, but so far so good with that bill. So we're hoping to see that pass here within the next month. Great.
So I give you a little update on what's going on with that then, so.
No, they have to vote.
Yeah. So our main concern with those legislations was since what happened in Fisher did happen, and if you aren't familiar with that, somebody, basically just a quick synopsis, somebody got stung, claimed it was honeybee, and so Fisher said no bees in any
zoning
area that
jurisdiction.
Fisher has zoning rights over, so. And so we're trying to prevent that from happening any further, so. Okay.
Awesome. As long as the legislation doesn't say I can only buy honey between noon and 5 on Sundays. All right, so we have Denny Blake from Hamilton County Soil and Water Conservation District. He's going to talk to us briefly. Denny, thanks for coming out.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, you guys.
Absolutely.
I am supposed to start by saying I am in outreach. I'm not in the technical assistance side, so if you have technical questions, we have lots of people in our office that can help you with that stuff. How many of you are already familiar with our programs in Hamilton County? Great, not too many. So we're not in here. Let's just start with.
Do you want me to pass something out?
Actually, there's all the stuff I'm going to talk about is on the back table. There are a ton of handouts, so I'm going to argue with info today.
Great, thank you.
So don't worry about writing it down. All the contact information and programs and stuff are back there. I don't see them in here, but one of your members used our services to put all sorts of different kinds of seeds near his bees, and we have cost share programs to help with that, and that information is back there. We'll start with soil tests, though. We do a ton of different things. So soil testing, if you have any issues growing anything, we can get you hooked up with some soil tests. There's a fee for that. It just depends on what you want to test for. A couple different tests that we can do out of our office. We have water testing services for well water. If you're on a well, concerned about if you have wildlife on your property as well, if you're using your water for gardens or any of that stuff, we can help you with our well water program, and that's relatively new and pretty successful. We also have a native plant kit sale coming up. Sounds like everybody does, which is not a bad thing. This is all back there. It is on, let's see, May 24th. You have to pre-order by May 10th. It's 50 plugs for $120, and there are 3 different kits you can get. Shade kit, rain garden kit, and the species are all listed on our website if you're interested in that. Rain barrel as well. And if you are are there any residents of Noblesville in here? If, you can actually, not Noblesville, I'm sorry, Carmel. If any Carmel residents, you can get refunded or rebate for your rain barrel. Noblesville went away with their program this year, I'm sorry for that. We have an organic gardening workshop coming up. If any of you are interested in that, that's April 13th. There's a cost of $20 off for that. It includes food, and there's a big Q&A panel. Should be a great turnout. Are many of you gardeners as well? Yeah, big deal. Okay, free technical assistance with vegetable gardens. That's something that we do for residents in Hamilton County. We can come out, check out the garden. If you're having issues, or if you're having drainage, even if you're having drainage issues, we can help you with that, help you with planning. If you're looking to put in some raised beds, or if you're looking to convert some of your land that might have some drainage issues into, say, a rain garden, we can help with that. So all that stuff is free of charge for us to come out and assess the property in Hamilton County. Let's see here. Got soil, we've got water, and we'll talk briefly here about the Heartland Backyard Conservation Program. This is a program that Kevin, who I was speaking about earlier, he utilized for his property last year. Unfortunately, we just missed the deadline for the spring cost year, but the next deadline to put some sort of conservation practice on your property coming up is August 8th. So I'll give you some examples. So rain gardens I mentioned, if you need any sort of filter or buffer strips on your property, wetlands for wildlife, and kind of wildlife enhancement habitat on your property, enhancing the water quality, any kind of native prairie planting, which I assume some of you would be pretty interested in. There's cost share for that, so you'll pay up front a certain amount. Claire Lane is our urban conservationist. Her card is back there. She can help you with picking out what you need and where to get it, and kind of direct you on that. And other examples, and kind of native trees or shrub plantings, erosion problems, invasive species removal, and sort of planning on that. That is kind of the quick of what we do. There's so much. In 15 minutes, I'm not sure we'll be able to cover it all, but there's a lot of information back there. Information from the Natural Resource Conservation Service, kind of one of our partnering groups. There's info back there as well in my card. Anybody have any questions? No? All right, I'm going to leave all that on that back table by the recorder. Call us anytime. We're happy to help. Okay? Bye.
Thank you. Ready? Okay, Dave, it's packed house.
Okay.
So we invited Dave Shenefied to come speak to us again. Many of you have heard him here before. He is the largest commercial beekeeper in the state of Indiana. How many hives do you have now, Dave?
Just like the guy said earlier, he said, I like Dave's answer. How many hives, how many alive, how many dead?
Okay, there you
Probably
go.
around 2,500 alive and 500 dead.
And how many locations do you have around the state?
Oh, probably about 160.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you can only put 24 hives in an apiary,
Okay,
so
there
you
you
can't
go.
have them all in the same
And how
spot.
many do you have out in California right now?
Roughly, we're set up to send 2,000 hives to California, and 1,000 hives stay here all the time.
Alright, so Dave can answer any question that you have. And this is your opportunity to talk to a commercial beekeeper. Obviously, they do things differently than a hobbyist beekeeper. They have a lot of secrets, and Dave shares them all.
We do a lot of stuff the same way.
Yes,
We all have the same goal, to try to keep the bees alive, right? Sometimes I gotta do things a little bit different, because I got so many bees to get through, I gotta make it so it goes a little bit faster. But, you know, I don't know if it said on the flyer what I was supposed to talk about, maybe spring management. I mean, but that's where we're getting ready for that, right? So, one thing you always remember, whatever you're doing in beekeeping, is learning, okay? So, your bees are dead, and it's spring. We gotta make a decision on what we're gonna do. Are we gonna buy packages? Or I got these good bees over here, maybe I can make my own, split my own nuke. But first, that's not the first thing you think. First thing you do is you get in your dead beehive and you clean it out. Because then it's gonna tell you if you did something wrong. So I have a frame here, and a frame here. These all come out of dead beehives. I'll pass them around. Don't worry about it. Kathleen's not here. There's no foul brood. Don't touch it. Okay? So, I'll pass this around, these around, and on this one, I've kind of dinged them up a little bit, but I'm going to explain to you what happened here. What's that right there? Queen cells. Well, what the heck was in bees, and they were starting to draw them queen cells on this frame, and the hive was dying. You know, so that's kind of strange, right? So, and then here's another one. This came out of a hive that died. What's that look like? The brood looks different than this one, right? What kind of brood is this one? Drone brood. This is worker brood, okay? So this tells me why that hive died, right? The queen wasn't any good as a drone layer. There's no way it's going to make it, okay? So that's what happened to that hive. So that's my problem. I didn't make sure it's queened right. Or it could have happened for another reason. This could have happened first, which it might have had. Anybody know what that is besides brood? What that's a sign of? Have any of you ever seen that in your beehives that died? Anybody else seen that in their beehive? You just didn't see any brood? Didn't see nothing? That right there is what they call PMS, parasitic mite syndrome. So the reason those hives died is because the mites killed them, virus killed them. So this taught me a lesson that maybe I better keep a better check on my mites over the season, so this problem doesn't happen. Right? But that's what that is. And then the ones with the queen cells on the bottom, here's what happens when that hive breaks down with virus. First, you start having deformed wing virus. Then you got crawlers. Well, then, see, the queen gets that virus, and she starts laying virus-infected brood. So that's what makes this big, strong hive you had last year was the best one you ever had, full of bees hanging out. Then there was no bees come spring because they all died, is because the queen catches this virus, and then she lays infected brood. So all of her new brood that's supposed to be coming with your winter bees, it's all going to die. That's the reason that brood's not hatched. It is dead. Okay? And so now the bees know that their queen's not any good, so that's the reason they started those queen cells. But guess what? They're not any good either. And if you do hatch a queen from that, if she did for some reason, then she's going to be a drone layer, so she's not going to be any good either. Right? So, that tells me that maybe I need to keep a little bit better job to take care of my bees. So, at this point in time, you know what I'm doing? And last month is I was treating for mites. And if you think about it, now is the best time. Why? There's no brood, if so, very little. So you can really get most all them mites. And the second reason you do that is because if you get started with a clean hive in the spring, then you've got a pretty good chance of being successful all the way through till the honey crop comes off, when you can treat them again. And it does work. And another thing cool about treating them this time of year, there's certain things you can use, certain things you can't use, but you don't have to spend so much money on the treatment because you can get by with a lot less. Whereas if you're using oxalic dribble, which I'm sure it's not that expensive, so it doesn't really matter. But if you was using Apivar strips, which calls for 2 strips per box of bees, you just got to stick one of them suckers in where the bees are, because there's no brood in their bees. So it's a lot cheaper. Right, Barry?
That's what I do.
And we know cheap.
I'm really cheap.
So, and I would suggest this if you're getting a nuke, because if it works in one situation in the bees, then you got to think. And like I said, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. It's pretty common sense. What if it's working on what you're doing here? So now, if you get a new package or a nuke, when would be the best time to take care of your mite problem? Right then, right there. Okay, because all bees come with mites. If you're thinking that you're getting bees that don't have any mites, then evidently the guy you got them from already took care of that problem. So if you're getting a new package, so we're talking to experienced beekeepers, intermediate beekeepers, or just you getting your first package, you want to get some kind of mite treatment in there right away. And then it's gonna make your summer a lot better. Trust me. Like my bees that are around a lot of bees, I have to treat more. Now, if you got one or two hives and there's nobody else's bees around, and once you get your mite problem taken care of, you have very minimal mite treatment needed. And that's something you gotta remember. The more hives you get, then the more problems you can have. Because on your mite treatment, let's say you're taking care of your two, okay? But your old buddy that lives a half mile down the road, he's into treatment-free beekeeping. And I don't care, you may not treat, I don't care if you do or if you don't. But he's down there, and he's not treating his bees. Guess what? His mites cause problems then, after they killed his hive. Now they're down there in your hive. So you gotta think about all those things, how many hives you got, how many bees are in your area, to know on how to control and take care of your mites. All right? Any questions on that? You got a question? Here's one.
You said that these hives died from PMS.
Mhm.
Is that because of the spotted brood pattern? Is that the indicator?
That's because all the old bees died off and all the new, not for the spotty brood pattern. All that brood and stuff that hatched out died pretty fast. That stuff. So what happens is all your bees, your old bees died off and there were no new bees to replenish the hive. So that's another thing that happens in mites. If your hive died from mites, it can happen two ways. It can be just clear full of honey. Clear full of honey and no bees, dead mites. It can have no honey in it in the fall and you're feeding it and you don't know what them bees are doing with that feed because it affects them different ways. Those bees, if they're affected wrong by the mites, you can feed them all you want, they never gain any weight. I don't know if they just take that feed in and go out there and spit it out. I don't know what they do with it. Okay? But seriously, either they're lead heavy or they're just light and they never store any feed. Both of those come from mites. So, I don't know what the difference is. Another thing on your bees, and people tell you bees are bees, but not really. We all know the best bees you can have is the ones you raise yourself at your house, okay? Because there are certain bees that have, and that's what we're working on, is we're trying to develop bees that have better resistance to viruses. And there are. Matter of fact, I had some commercial bees that were tested by Kathleen, sent away, and then I had some of mine that were tested, sent away for virus. And this commercial stock here, it had a lot higher virus levels in Israeli acute virus than my stock, and they was all in the same place. You know, so there are bees that do better than other bees. There are no bees, and like at Purdue, they didn't treat any of their hives. They had 105 hives, and I think there's only 6 dead. That's from years of genetics. And that's from years of having those kind of bees that you raised here and you never brought in anything else. If Crispin would bring in 100 hives from commercial stock somewhere that didn't have the genetics that his bees got and put them in the same yard, then his mortality would have been a lot greater. It wouldn't have been 5 or 6 hives because, like we was talking about your neighbor that didn't treat his bees, okay? That stuff comes and gets you, all right? So, now we're on we're all happy now. We got our bees going, everything's going good. So, how many of us are getting our first bee hive? You are, okay? And you're getting a package, okay? So now, the difference between preparing with this package or new or as to having an overwintered hive, there's different maintenance that you need to be doing. So when you get a new hive and you're starting a new hive in on foundation, you need a lot of food, okay? Your bees have to have food to make wax. So when you get a package and you take it and you get it in your hive, you know, and it's all good, you gotta feed it. Because unless the weather's perfect, the flowers are in bloom, you know, everything is good, then, and they're making honey, then you wouldn't need to feed it. But you're taking this hive out of this box and putting it in there on only foundation, and it takes 12 pounds of honey to make a pound of wax, so it takes a lot of honey. So, you know, you're upset because at the end of the season, you drew out all this foundation and you didn't get any surplus honey. That's okay. Your bees need it to build a home, all right? So you need to feed them. So the best way to feed them is how you're going to feed them. Are they going to be in the hive? Are you going to bucket feed them? Are you going to inside feed them? Or, you know?
I have no experience.
No experience. Well, that's good. But we're going to help you out. When you're starting a hive, you're going to have you can bucket feed them, okay? And a bucket is just any kind of plastic container that you can put 5 little small holes in. And then, let's say that's the hole in your inner cover. Then you can take that bucket, and what you want to do is you want to fill that bucket up almost to the top with sugar, okay? Then you go into your mom's kitchen, and you open up the tap on hot water, and then you fill that bucket up with water till it's almost full, and that's a good mixture. That mixture is good for wintertime and summertime. It's syrup, heavy syrup. And you want to put that bucket out there on that hive, and if they keep eating it, you keep feeding them. All right? Because they're going to draw all that foundation out with that food that you're giving them. And here's the thing. If they start making honey, they won't take that feed. They know what's better for them. And by feeding them with a bucket is a good tool, just like on your other hives. If you're feeding the beehive and they're not taking the food, either they're getting plenty of food or there's a problem in the hive. If your queen's not laying right, okay, they won't take that feed. So when you go out there, and remember this stuff, it's easy, okay? I've been doing it for 44 years and now I remember it, all right? So if they're not taking it, then you take that bucket off there and you look inside that box and see if there's any bees in it for one. But if they're growing, okay, if they're not growing, then that means you need to do another thing. You need to go in there and pull one of these frames out and look and see if you can see any brood. You don't want to see this kind of brood because that's drone brood. That means you're ready to start all over. You just don't know it yet. Okay? So, but you want to feed them, all right? Until you get your next box on. And if you fill them and they look like they got food and everything, but you put the second box on them and they're not up there drawing it out, probably because they don't have any food in there. So you may need to feed them again. Okay? As long as they're growing and they're drawing foundation, like I said, if they start making honey, they don't take that syrup. So that's what you want to do till they get going in. And when you look in there, as long as your hive's growing, life is good. All right? When they're not growing is when you need to look and search for something. Okay? So we got that on the package. We know you're going to treat them with something. You're going to start feeding when you get them in there. And you're going to have a good year. All right? So then, if we're going to do a little bit of spring maintenance on our other hives, it's a little different game. We got 5 hives of bees here, and 2 of them are dead. Okay? That's okay. So what we do then is, those 2 that are dead, what do we do with them? We just clean them out just like Dave did. We looked in there to see what we can find out what's going wrong. And hopefully they haven't started flying, so you got honey. Like Dave said, they're full of honey. So what do you do with that honey? You get that the heck out of the bee yard and you put it in the garage so those bees can't eat it, because you're going to use that for your new bees, right? So we got the 2 dead hives and we got 3 good ones here. These are both in, or all 3 in doubles or whatever. Pop the lid, Dave, they look great, they're full of bees. And my wife won't give me any money to buy me another package, so I gotta make a new plan, all right? So what I'm gonna do, that real strong one, when I know it's full of bees and things are going good, I'm gonna take that box that had that honey that was dead, and I'm gonna put it on top of that one, okay? And then I'll do something with this one. Well, Dave, only one of them's really strong. Well, okay, don't put that other box on any of the rest of them yet. You wait till they get strong. Because it's just like your house. If it's full of people, it's hot in there. So, and if it's not and it's cool out here, you want to leave them until they get bees going in them. And then they'll jump right up in there. And then you may feed them if they didn't have all that honey, because you're feeding them for a different reason. Not really because they needed it, but you're trying to stimulate them to get them stronger, because you're going to take some of them bees away from them. See? And by you feeding them syrup or whatever, then you're helping them get going, helping that queen start laying and getting more bees in there. Because down the road, you know, maybe somebody, I know this guy's going to have queens come, or this guy's got queen cells or something, then you're going to split that box off of there, set it down, and then you got to find the queen, right? Because you don't want to take that box away. And then now you got another dead hive over here. This one's alive now. So you'd have to find her or put her with the mother, and then take that somewhere to start your other hive, right? So if you're feeding them for making a split, is different than if you're feeding them for making them to make comb, or if you just got all 5 hives alive. You're not going to sell any bees, you're not going to make any bees, but now you got a new box. Everybody's going to have one of these after when? 30th. Now you got something you can stick that brood in, okay? You can steal a little bit from that, but we'll get there in a minute. So, if you're not wanting any more bees, because you don't want to buy any more bee equipment, then you want to limit your feeding. See what I mean? You don't want to feed them so good and take care of them so good that they just swarm into the tree. Man, Dave, I took good care of them. They build up strong and then they left. So you can overdo it. You can, you know, so you got to know what's right and what's wrong there. But learn the same way we did, right? Just do it until you see you screwed up, and now you know. Okay? So you're just stimulating them enough and making sure they don't run out of food so you can make a honey crop. So you're not overfeeding, right? And there's some people that do. Believe me, there's some of you out there I know that probably take better care of your bees than you do your dog or your cat. Because some of you have feed on there year round. I know there's some out there that do that. And then they just, you know, they swarm on you. You know, you've got them plugged down with food. Bees like open comb. You got to have open comb or the queen don't have any place to lay. Right? So now you just feed them, and then what do you do as the hive grows? What do you do at your house if you get another brother or sister and you only got one bedroom? You got to give them more room. You got to build on a new room. So when the spring, when them hives are full of bees, and I'm not talking about just Dave opened up the inner cover, just full of bees up there. Once in a while, you may need to look down below to see if there's bees down there, because if there's not bees down there, then they really don't need a super on them yet. Okay? bees like to cuddle. They like to have bees all around them, see? So, but then you add supers, and that's to keep them from swarming, okay? But now, since I got me this nuke box down at the club meeting, this is also called insurance, is what this nuke box is, okay? And I have 200 or so of these just laying around all summer long with bees in them. Because there's always going to be a problem. There's always going to be a hive that you got in, you smashed the queen, or something happened, you know, you're going to have something go wrong. If you got this nuke box sitting out there, which now you had all these strong hives, now you're going to make you up a nuke, okay? So what we do, how do you make that up, Dave? You just go into them hives, and it doesn't all have to be, everybody with me? I kind of just go, you know? So, I don't know. But, you can go into your hive, okay, that's real strong, and this is another thing that prevents swarming, is because if they're crowded, you can go in there and take these. And I don't know if it's Jim or somebody, but they said you see queen cells in there, you know, on the bottom of it. You could try to find the old queen and move her off with some old brood, or you could take that frame with them queen cells and put in there, you know, to start another hive. But really, probably you should try to find the old queen. But, Jim, easier said than done, okay? You probably messed me up here because I'm off track now. We got to talk about this. What happens to a queen when they're getting ready to swarm? Anybody? They start losing weight. They start getting smaller. So now you've got this hive, clear full of bees, ready to swarm, and the queen's smaller than she's supposed to be, Jim, and I'm supposed to find her. Forget that. I say, get your frame with queen cells, let that old queen stay in where she's at, and let them other cells hatch and let her swarm. Okay? So anyhow, back to this nuke box. All right, we're going to take some brood, okay? When you're making up a nuke, because you got these strong hives, and this may be a little bit past spring management, I don't know, but since I don't have it up there under my name, spring management, I can talk to you about other stuff. Okay? So, we're going in, and what we're doing is we're in that real strong hive, and I know we're going to put a super on it, but I'm going to say, hey, I need this insurance box, so you go in there, and you get you a frame of brood and bees, okay? And if you're making up a nuke, you want to make sure you got all stages of brood. So, where's my other frames?
Right here.
Can I have them? I do better with props.
You're doing a great job.
So, okay. So now, we're pretending, okay? Here's my frame of brood. And it's all sealed brood, pretty brood, not like this. And it's got bees on it. And this is a good thing that you should do and not try to get in a hurry like Dave does. You ought to find the queen first, Jim. Make sure she's not on here, because what Dave does, he looks, no queen. And then he puts it in there. But sometimes there have been queens, okay? So you got to find the queen and know where she's at before you do this. But anyhow, so we're taking this frame of brood, and we're putting that in there kind of in the middle. What else we need in there? We need some food and some bees. Okay, so we got this little growth going. We're going to put that in there. That's going to be food and bees. There's some pollen on there, and there's some food on there. But, I mean, heck, we got a 5-frame nuke here. Let's go ahead and put another frame of brood in there, minus queen. But guess what? This one here has eggs an open larva, and it could have queen cells if we had any, okay? So we're gonna put that in there, and then we gotta have some frames. You got any foundations? So you can put foundations in there if you don't have anything else, if you got a draw comb, and then all you're stored is a queen, okay? So if you did get one in the mail, your buddy's got one, you can put it in there, or Bob had some queen cells or whatever, you got that all made up. If I'm putting a queen in there, a maiden queen, when should I put it in there? How long should I wait?
3 days.
No. You never wait over a day. 3 days. You didn't break that, Tracy. That comes off for the feeder.
Thank you, Dave, thank you.
If you're making a split with, like this, or splitting boxes, you never wait. You do it today, you make sure you have a queen going in there tomorrow. Okay? Alright? And really, you don't have to wait that long. The bees will know they're without a queen, and they're really not that strong, but you never release the queen. Okay, when you get this package, we're going back to you now. You get this package, and it comes with the queen in a cage, all right? You're shaking this bees out, and that's, you guys have a class on introducing packages?
Yes, we did, and we don't shake anymore, Dave.
Hey, good. But I'm gonna tell you, since we're on that, how much time I got? I've tried, here, listen to what my package is, and you pay attention to what they told you in class. But here's my new one that I think would work better than anything. And I want you to try it so you can report to the club. I've done that. They've got chutes that you can put them in.
Bee funnel.
Bee funnel. That's another daggone piece of equipment we got to buy, Barry. I'm cheap. I took the frames out of the box, you know, and hung the queen between the frames. We're going to let the bees crawl out of the package in there. And then, you know, you go back and you take the package out of there. They're all in there nice and neat, and you stick your frames in there. Guess what happens when you do that? I've had them not touch your foundation, and they start building comb in the box, in the package. What a mess. But here's the way to do packages. I want you to do this, okay? So, you get the package, you wait till it's dark. All right? What don't bees do when it's dark?
Fly.
But they crawl, so make sure you got your bee bell on and everything, all right? They crawl. So, you take your box and you go out there, but you got a coon hunting light or red light or something so you can flip on once in a while so you can see what you're doing. But then you can shake, listen to this, Barry, this is the cheap way. You shake them bees out of that package, a lot of them, you take that queen, it's dark, they can't fly, okay? Then you gotta be careful, all right? Then you put your lid on there, and then you take that empty package. There's still bees in it, Dave, I can't get them to fly in. Well, no, it's dark. Just lay that outside, okay? And then them bees will crawl out when they know that queen's in there. But see what happens when you're installing packages, and you can do this if you say you got 5 packages, and you got them all in, you had your 5 hives in a line out there, and you did this without the bee funnel. I don't know, that bee funnel may work. But you go out there, and it's warm, okay? And you shook one in this one, and you shook one in this one, and one in this one, one in this one. Them queens, they're not all the same. Their pheromones could be stronger in one of those queens, and then you go back the next day, okay? You got 5 hives, you got 1 real strong one, 2 just kind of okay, and then these 2 there's only a handful of bees and a queen in there. That's what happens with packages, okay? So I want you to do Dave's nighttime version, and then let us know, because I think it'll work better than any of them, okay? So, back to our insurance box, if you're putting a mated queen in there, it's gotta go in the next day, okay? Because what happens is they're gonna start growing queen cells if it's any longer than that. And guess what's gonna happen to your queen if they started cells?
They're a killer.
They're not gonna accept it, okay? Now, if Bob has got queen cells and you make it up this way, how soon should you get a queen cell in? Could get it in there tomorrow, could get it in there the next day, or could be day 3. I don't know, it depends on when I get it. So that's why it's crucial when you're making your splits and your nukes, what I'm getting at. Do never make a split if you're using a mated queen or a nuke until you've got it in your hand. Because what happens is, if you said, well, Bob said he'd have me 2 queens tomorrow, so I got my splits made up. Something happened, he fell off the roof or something, and I can't get my queens. You just lost all those resources, you know. So that's why if you're making splits, never do it unless you have the queen. The queen in that cage, if you get it today, just rub a little honey on that screen and a little bit of water. Don't dump cupfuls in, just put a little on your, and just let her lay in there on the kitchen counter, you know, or someplace where it's warm and dark, or it don't matter. I just leave them lay on the kitchen table and tell the wife, what's that buzzing in the kitchen, Dave? Just nothing, honey. No. So, you want to have those things, but queen cells, it don't matter. All right? So that's another way that you can add to your operation, like say a nuke is something good. And guess what? What? Your hives are doing real good. And now you got this insurance box out there in the yard.
Do you need to put it in a different yard, Dave?
If you made a nuke up in your yard, no, you don't need to, because you got a, this is incomplete, by the way. It's got a disc that you put on there. So if you make up a nuke, you want to leave it set overnight. You don't want it free flying, okay? So if you make a nuke up in your yard, just move it wherever you want to put it and leave it closed up. Don't open this up until tomorrow morning. And besides that, what kind of bees are we putting in there?
Nurse bees.
Nurse bees. They're not going to go anywhere, okay? Now, if you're out there shaking field bees in there, there won't be anything in it. So you leave them closed up whenever you make up a nuke till the next morning, okay? Or, if you're like my buddy there, we can go out there after midnight when it's dark, because it's hot, right? Okay? But they are very important tool. And then, if you don't need it, your neighbor down the road, I mean, he may need a queen, okay? And if it's an Indiana-raised queen, you know, I demand a premium for them. You know, if they're good stuff, you can get as high as $45 out of them. Or you can sell the nuke. You can sell those bees out there. What are them things running? Anywhere from $150 to $200. So you can get some money back from that hive, okay? You don't need it. All right? What's some good questions about spring management? What do you guys do? What do you do in the spring? Let's
Look for queen cells.
look for queen cells, okay? But here's the point I'm getting at. I'm going to ask a few questions from all of you, maybe not all of you, but some of you. And here's what I tell people. When you go to a bee meeting, because you can't remember everything everybody tells you, right? But there's some things you do. Okay, my beekeeping knowledge came from listening to a lot of beekeepers, and then I rolled it all in. Well, I didn't like that. That didn't work for me, so I threw that out. So you listen to what everybody's got to say, even if they're crazy like me, right? You listen to what they tell you, and then from all that information, you develop your own system of how you're going to do it, okay? So, this gentleman says he's got everything taken care of. The only thing he's going to be doing is looking for queen cells, because he's got everything looking good. How do you look for queen cells? I'm going to tell you. Because you're learning, and I'm going to help you out. Some of these guys I can't help, all right? All right, so part of your spring management, and you're not going to have to worry about this right now, okay, because you're just starting out. But this is what you'll do next year, okay? So you've got 2 boxes here, and some guys do this. I don't. I used to. Now I do something different. So let's say there's 2 boxes. He's looking for queen cells. So our hives are building up, and the best place to find swarm cells is in between the boxes. Okay? So we got a super on top, and what we do is we just pop the box and we just tilt it up. And that you're looking like this, okay? This is the box. So these things right here, them are queen cells. And if they're capped, okay, if those queen cells are capped, which these aren't, and don't get this mixed up, folks, because all your hives, when May comes, all of you are going to have cell cups, okay? All those, we're going to have some of them, because it's natural. The bees do that every year, okay? So don't freak out and think your hive's swarming. Those are cell cups. But when they start looking larger, and you look up in there, which has been dead for all winter, so there's probably nothing. But if you see white in there, okay, and if you can see better than I can, you can even see eggs in there, 1 egg. So this is what he's doing. He's tilting this box up during his regular management, and now he sees swarm cells. What do you do? Well, you got to do something. If they're all open cells like that, maybe you could pull some brood out of there to make up your nuke, or you could move it to a hive that's weaker. This is another thing, which if we have time we'll get into this, is when you got 3 strong and 1 real weak, sometimes you can take from the strong and give to the weak to help it get up and running. Okay, that's another part of spring management. But if you've got capped cells in that hive, either you pull the frame out and use the frame, or you put supers on it. And supering is the best thing. If you would have supered it sooner, they wouldn't have had them swarm cells. Okay? So if you see them, you can do 1 of 2 things. Or 1 of 12 different things, depending on who you're listening to. Either you can say, okay, Dave, I got swarm cells. And I got a dead hive. So what I would do, I'm going to make your dead hive alive again. So we would split those boxes, and I would make sure there was queen cells that stayed with this box I took over here, and there probably may not be down there, but if you can be real careful and pull a frame out of that bottom box and stick that frame with cells down in there very gently so you don't just hurt them. And then just let them go. Just throw another box, and then that way they're not going to swarm, and if they do, it'll be very minimal. Okay? Some guys will cut all of them out. Well, if there's a bunch of them in there, you can dig through that hive all day long, and you're going to miss one. Okay? So you got to make a decision what you're going to do. Either you're going to split the box because you got a dead one, make sure you got a cell on both of them, and walk away. And then when would you get back in there to see if they got queened right? How long would you wait? You don't know. That's what I'm going to tell you. You're going to wait at least 3 weeks. Okay, maybe a month. Remember that? If you got a queen cell, if you start a hive with a queen cell, you don't get in it for 2 weeks. And if she's not laying in 2 weeks, you let it wait for another week. Okay? If it's a mated queen, you don't have to wait that long. But if you're using cells, there's a reason you gotta wait, and I'm gonna tell you why. Queens, 16 and a half, 17 days from an egg to hatch. Then she's gotta be a week old before she mates. Then, another next week, then she come back in and she starts laying. That's why you gotta wait. What happens if you open up a hive and a virgin queen's in there and you pull the frame out? She flies off. So that's why you can't. Okay? Just wait. So you can do that. Like I said, if you put a super on, and sometimes weather will cause them swarm cells. Sometimes they're not congested, they're not full. It's just raining and cold and wet all the time. And if bees are making honey, they don't even think about swarming. It's when the bees aren't doing anything, is when they start, well, I'm bored. Let's raise a queen. That'll cause some excitement. Yeah. Sure does. So, that's what he does. What do you do on spring management? You've been feeding, okay? Pollen patties? Some bees don't. Probably like to feed. If they need it, they take it. If they don't, they won't. Okay, so now we're on to something else. How much time we got?
20.
20?
Unless you want to say.
Pollen patties, they say. How many of you feed pollen patties? Why? Because they say to feed pollen patties. Here's the deal on pollen patties. If it's raining all the time, your bees can't gather pollen, you need some pollen patties. Okay? So you might need to have that bucket feed. So I'm sure somebody around here got a pollen patty. Ron Baston dude that comes and drives around these bee meetings, that trailer. I don't know where he's at.
Back here.
Oh, shoot. I didn't think he was there. Or RJ Honey, them guys got pollen patties. So you can get a hold of them, all right? But here's the deal on pollen patties. Dave, how often do you feed pollen patties? Well, I'm going to tell you. With my stationary hives that are all good, and over winter here, I don't use pollen patties very much. And here's a way for you to look to see if you need pollen patties. In the wintertime when it's cold, and that's another thing, when you tore all them frames out of there and you're looking at this, in that bottom box, okay? And even if your bees are alive and they're all in the top, in that bottom box, just set that off there real gently and look in that frame. And if they're real light like this and you don't see any sign of pollen in there, you may need to feed a little bit of pollen patty to jumpstart your hive. Okay? Now, I feed a lot of pollen patties in California with my bees and almonds. We throw them in there, they just tear them up, don't they, Ron? So, but there's nothing for them to work. So, but if you got a lot of pollen in there, you don't really need it. But if spring's lingering on here and there's no pollen coming in, you may want to build your hive up to get it stronger. But like I said, you don't want to build it up so strong in swarms, but you may need to feed a little bit of pollen patty. Okay? So, and if you're feeding pollen patty, how many of you see a small hive beetle? There's a problem with pollen patties and small hive beetle, isn't there? So that's why you just don't throw that big glob on there. You just tear you a piece off and put it in there and then go back and peek and see if they got it. But when the bees are carrying in pollen, is there any sense to feed pollen patty? Not unless it's all corn pollen. So if you was feeding pollen patties, and like I said, in the springtime right now, maybe you would, but I don't. Probably because I don't have time to right now, but anyhow. No, I don't, because I feel that my bees have plenty of pollen down below. And why do they need pollen? The raised bees, right. So, they've got to have that pollen, but I can tell you this about pollen patties, and I can tell you this about sugar syrup, I can tell you this about high fructose corn syrup, all this. You can't feed them anything that's better than what Mother Nature gives them, okay? You can, me and Ron, we're out there, Cal, we try to build them up on pollen patterns, don't we? And you can maintain them and get them a little better, but nothing builds bees like Mother Nature can give them. Alright? So on the pollen patty thing, if you're all new comb, there's time to use it. What do you do on your spring mason?
This is the first spring.
This is the first spring, so he's coming to see, so he's learning with us, alright? Anybody else got any secrets they do in the spring? How many of you wrap your hives? Why do you wrap them?
Why not?
That's what I'm asking you.
Because we're cheap, we know.
And here's the thing on wrapping beehives. You know, I've wrapped them. You know, you can wrap them with black paper, whatever, and what that does, it kind of jump starts them sooner, is what it does. The heat, they might start brood rearing because the temperature's up. You know, if you're out in the middle with no windbreaks, it might be a good idea. But really, here, you don't really, if your bees are healthy, they don't need wrap. Because I tell you, but if your bees live and you wrap them, you keep doing it, okay? That's what I tell everybody. Whatever you do and they're alive, keep doing it. Don't change. My dad, well, he started this in '59. I want to tell you how all the old Indiana beekeepers did, how they wintered their bees. I never knew one of them to wrap them. Okay? What they would do is they would get just a little shim. Okay, so let's say I had a quarter. Loan me a quarter, Barry.
He's cheap.
Okay, all they would do is they would cut a little wedge, you know, probably about the size of a quarter, which we're using a nickel because that ain't big. But that's all they would do. And they would put that underneath the corner of their air cover just for ventilation or something. I don't know. But that's what they did. They didn't wrap them. They didn't put... Now me, I've got an insulation board that I put underneath the inner cover on some of my hives. But that's all they did, you know. So if we've got normal weather, then wrapping's not necessary, I wouldn't think. What do? You got any secrets of spring?
Last year,
Last year.
I put a third box on.
When did you do that?
I put it about the middle of March. And I started feeding them then. And I didn't have one hive swarm. And I had one hive that had 285 pounds of honey off of, which is the best I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had two that I didn't get anything off of. And those two, one of them ultimately ended up dying.
So that was queen problem or something.
Yeah. And so now this year, I'm trying to think what the heck I need to do because I still got that third box off. I never took it off.
You never took it off.
Yeah, and so now we got the quantity. Okay, so they're loaded up like crazy.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm thinking what I probably got to do is split them early.
Well, either that or you can do this. If the equipment down there in that bottom box doesn't have any bees in it, you can get your buddy to help you set the top two off and put it on the bottom board and
rotate 'em up.
then just move that third one up if you wanted
And
to.
see, the other thing is, the other part of the story is I've got a lot of comb that's probably 25 years old.
It's in the bottom.
Yeah.
You're like me.
And so.
That's where you shove all them old frames, got all that grown comb.
Yeah, so this year, because I'm not doing farmer's market anymore, so I really don't need that much money.
I'll buy it off of you.
Will you?
Yeah.
Well, so I'm gonna start replacing comb and this will be the third year on all those queens. So I
You better start getting.
yeah, so I'm gonna try and replace them all
Yeah.
there.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, so, like I said, I got a bunch of junk going on. But everything looked great. I went in and, I never put pylon tags on. And this year is the first year I ever put candy boards on. I'm trying to get to the point where it's like, real low maintenance,
Right.
Goofing around with them all.
Right,
Because I felt like making a sandwich out there every week and,
Yeah.
goofing around with them.
So he's adding that third box. He wants to build up this monster. We call them Tim Eyes. I don't know if anybody ever know Tim Eyes. He's all over Facebook with these 3Ds, They end up as tall as the ceiling. But anyhow, so he's out there in March, which, that's a good time. So he's really preparing the home. So they got this huge cavity and they're not going to swarm. He's already got started. What I do in southern Indiana, matter of fact, I'll be going down there maybe next week, is I got some and they're in 3 boxes and a lot of them are in 2. I'll be throwing on that third D. But what I do with them, and you may consider this if you don't need the honey, you can do what I do down there. So I put them on, I throw some feed on them, they've already been treated, they've already been fed once. I'll go down there April 15th. And I'll go into them hives and I'll just break them down into 3. Sometimes they're 4 high. If they're overwintered 3 and that's strong, I'll put another deep on them. So I go in there and I just bust all the boxes apart. So if it's 4 or 3, you take your lid off, you lay it on the ground upside down, and you set a box on there. You never stand bee equipment on end. It's supposed to be the same way. It's just like somebody coming to your house and said, hey, I just want to flip the house on the side. You don't do that with bees because they don't understand that. They get, if you take frames out, and I know there's a lot of you do, and I won't ask you who you are, but when I go to a bee yard and you're pulling frames out of the bee yard and they got bees all over them, you're laying them up against the hive like that, you just better be glad you're not working with me because I'm going to tell you something about it. You just set them down like this, okay? Same spot. So what I do down in southern Indiana is I split them in 3. And then whatever's in that bottom box, which I hope's brood and some bees, I'm going to say, okay, that's going to stay here. But out of these other 2 boxes, I go in there and I pull all the brood out of those boxes. And I make up nukes, just like I explained how I do it here. And then I take all those nukes and then take them somewhere else and I put queens and start hives in them. And then all those frames that I took out for them nukes, like I said, there's 1 deep, still got comb. And if they had a lot of brood, I only take the brood and the food, but you gotta, leave them some. I stick a frame of foundation back in all 3 of them boxes, or 2, because the bottom had the comb. And then throw a bucket of feed on them and then say, I'll see you when it's time to take honey off. So they build all new comb, which I'm not down there for surplus honey. I'm down there to make bees. I've got 100 hives of bees down there, and then this is how I manage them. And I think I've lost 9 out of 100, but those 9 were already dead last fall from a queen problem. So I have no winter loss. But those bees are just there to raise bees. And I bring all those nukes up here because the honey flows better in the northern part of the state than it is in the south. In the south, you got to have strong bees early to make surplus because once June gets here, it's all over down there unless you get a fall frost. So I do my management of just making bees with it. So you can just make bees, get rid of it, and then probably make more money than you can selling the honey at the farmer's market. How do you manage yours? First spring. We're not confusing you, are we? Are they still alive?
They are unfortunately not.
They're unfortunately not. Okay. So we don't know what happened yet.
Lost the queen somehow. Had a laying queen when I went in and cleaned everything out. Or a laying worker when I went in and cleaned everything out.
Yeah.
Not sure what it was. Just right around first.
Yeah. Could have superseded, just never got queen right, something wasn't right. I mean.
It was strong and then
Yeah.
it was,
And see, when you have a laying worker like that, it's almost impossible for you to requeen them because they won't accept them. And you gotta have new brood. Whenever you requeen anything, you gotta have new brood and nurse bees. Okay? So this nuke would have worked out good for you in your problem if you'd have made one up, because then all you'd have to do is just take your nuke out there and stick it in there. You know? So that's one thing good about these. But if you have a drone laying queen or a laying worker, those are the two hardest things there is to requeen. And you want my secret on how to do it? Okay. It's not my secret. If you got a laying worker, you just, you know, here's the first thing you want. With a laying worker or a drone layer, you've got to move the hive to a location where it's got a queen right hive. Okay? That makes sense? This is a laying worker. You got two hives. You take your good hive and you move it to where the laying worker hive is, and you take your bad hive and you set it over there where the good one was, because then you got good bees coming into this messed up situation, okay? As long as you have messed up bees coming into a messed up situation, it's always going to be messed up. Now you're getting good bees coming in, okay, to this thing you're going to fix. And then if it's a drone layer, you just take them bees out there and shake them off, and you get you some new brood, just like we made this nuke up. Okay? Same way with the laying worker. And you stick that in there, and then you can try to get a queen cell and put it in. Queen cells work better, you know, than made queens, but if that's all you got, that's what you use. Okay? That's how you fix it. If you take brood out of your good hive and throw it into the messed up situation, it's almost impossible to fix either one of those scenarios. You got to get the hive clear going. Okay? How do you manage yours in the spring?
So I have a dilemma.
Okay, I like
The first
dilemmas.
part of it here. So I found 2 years ago, I left 2 deeps, and at the end of the year, the honey supers, there's half full frames and stuff, I didn't know what to do with them, so I left them in. And those hives in the spring, like, they were boiling over with the giant
Yeah.
You keep stacking supers and you get the hives.
Uh-huh.
But then the question is, when do you treat for mites? How do you treat for mites? In the spring, they're mostly empty of honey, that's what I've done, you pull them off the tree.
If you're not eating the honey, you can treat them in. If you're not harvesting,
I am harvesting.
okay, so the only time you can treat if you're using, what's the only thing you can use is formic is the only thing by label that you can use if you got honey on them. So here's what you do, you get the honey off of them, and then you can treat with whatever. And you tell me, well, they're partially filled. Well, the honey flows over, they're not going to fill them up any fuller. Okay? Just get it off. Feed it and treat them, and then if they're light, then you have to do some fall feeding. Okay? But you just don't have to always leave it on them.
The supers.
The supers. Yeah. Yeah.
I know, not necessarily for you with all thousands of hives, but how often should you requeen? There's a lot of different theories on that.
Good point. Okay. Let's go back in my archive, back in the day, okay? Back in the day, queens lived 7 years. You know, I'm still searching for that 7-year-old queen. No, but they used to last 7 years. And a lot of your commercial beekeepers, excluding me, requeen every year. So they always requeen. Okay? I'm still kind of old school. So nowadays, if you can get a queen to live 3 years or 4, that is fantastic. Okay? And I'm looking for, here's what breeders don't look for, is longevity. Bees that live. How can you requeen? And here's how these commercial guys do it. And all your queen raisers, they requeen all those hives every year. How are they selecting for something that lives? They're not. So I always try to have that. So, but if I was you, in your beekeeping operation, I'd say if they made it through 2 years, you're probably going to be better off if you pinch her and requeen after 2. I mean, I may have some that are 3. I really don't requeen unless I see them failing or there's a problem. But a lot of guys, all the commercials, all the queen producers, all of them do. They requeen every year. And for you to be successful, you know, every other year would be pretty good. And then, because once your queen, you know, gets a hint of that virus, and they may come out of virus. I've seen it happen. I was treating with thymol, and the queen was laying virus-infected brood, and I put that thymol in there, and it shut down the queen rearing, and she came back and lived, but she died the next year. I've taken those queens, and they come out of it, just like them little dinks. I'm sure you've had this little hive that shrunk down to, you know, a softball size, and came through the year, and it built back up that spring. Was it alive come next spring without a different queen? No. I mean, once you see that in your hive, once that dink came back and did good for you, you better be smashing her because she's not going to live another year, you know, because you just can't. So, but that's, I mean, we make up a lot of new queen. All of our nukes, you know, is all new, and all our splits is all new. But as far as our hives, I mark on my hive when the cell was, so I know basically how old she is. But just because this one was raised in 2017, and I see that this year, if she's still doing all right, I'm probably going to let her go. Unless it was a dink that came back. And then you remember that, and then you just, well, smash it. Okay? Yeah. So requeening, when's a good time to requeen? Well, Dave, you got to give me more information than that, okay? Requeening, you requeen, if the queen's bad or fell, then you just do it, right? You do it as soon as you can. If your queen is 2 years old and she came back, you know, you let her go, but you need to get her requeened. Pull your honey early. I would start trying to requeen in July, August, you know. You can in September, but once you start requeening later in the year, then you got to have a maiden queen because it gets too late trying to get cells made and that kind of stuff. It's different. Okay? When do you do your spring maintenance? Or what do you do in your spring maintenance?
Well, I'm just kind of waiting to see when it gets warmer. Usually I just wait and see what they're going to do.
So, but they're okay, they're alive?
Well, one of them is.
One of them is? Do you go out there and lift on it to see if it's still got some weight in it?
Yeah.
Or you just say, I hope girls are okay, doing weather warms up. I mean, you did a peek or did something, haven't
If
you?
it's kind of warm, I look in there to see where they are.
Okay.
If they're in the top of the candy bar.
Through the top, so you feed candy board. Okay? A lot of you use candy boards. It works. I don't have time to make them. I don't use them. I use buckets of feed, just like I've taught you, right? Except my wife's gonna let me bring 1,000 buckets into the kitchen anymore, so I gotta do it someplace else. I mean, I do buckets just because that's just what I've done. I've got buckets. So I fall feed. If they're light before winter, I fall feed. And then, you know, I'm feeding in January with a bucket. You know, I'm feeding in February with a bucket. But, you know, you open up the hive and you see all the bees. There's a sign. When you go out there and you look at your hive and the bees are just covering that inner cover on top, what does that tell you? They might be needing some food. Okay? If they stay down, generally there's probably weight in there. But if they're all up there, you know, they might be looking for something. And you could just dump sugar on it. At this point in time, you don't even need a candy board. So don't worry about making it. Just hurry up and go buy you a cheap bag of sugar and just dump that sugar on top of the inner cover. Put the lid back on. Okay? So you're just waiting. And then when it gets warm, you're going to see If it's strong, then what's your decision gonna be then? I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just having fun,
I
okay?
think you have to feed them then, if you got, when it gets warm.
Okay.
And then you see what they're doing.
Okay.
And then you probably just take the candy bar and all that junk.
But you
off.
got a candy bar on there, so you got feed on there, so you're
How long do
good.
you leave the candy bar on? Till they're running around?
Well, on the candy board, as long as they're eating, you leave it on there,
But when it gets.
But it's still raining and it's still cold. So that goes back to that thing at the beginning, if it's raining, it's cold, they need it. But if it's still on there, come dandelions are blooming, the bees are humming, then you can take that off of there, okay? And then make your decision on what you're gonna do with your dead one. Hope this one's strong enough, you can maybe fix the dead one, or you're just gonna put something in the dead one.
I'll see if I can fix it.
I'm just gonna try to fix it. It's cheaper that way, that's right, okay? What do you do in your spring management?
Been the first one.
Your first spring? Did you learn anything here kinda like tonight? Cause I'm gonna quit in 5 minutes, cause they didn't say anything about my contract on paying overtime. So, your first spring. You got bees last year, or you're getting bees this spring?
Got me last year.
Okay, they're still alive? They're not. So you started them on foundation last,
Yeah, so I had 2 highs.
okay?
Both these are full of I'm drawn home.
They're drawn cone. So don't think you're out all the way, because drawn cone is good.
Right.
So you didn't totally fail, okay? You got comb now. So put your bees in, and things will work a lot better. So, just have it cleaned up, and then get you some bees and put them in there on that drawn comb and get them fed. Started, all the honey's gone, they robbed it all out, or do you know?
No, the 2, they're full of honey.
Okay. Are they still sitting outside?
Yeah.
Okay, so we took Dave's, we're gonna get it off. We're gonna get it, we're gonna put it in we're gonna put it somewhere so his bees doesn't come down there and steal all your food, okay? And you can do that, and you could, it's bad to try to seal it up, because then you cause moisture problems, but sometimes, I would seal it up and leave it in the yard, like, well, Dave, the top one's full, the bottom one's not got any honey. Sometimes you could take your inner cover off and put it down, cover up your hole there, and put your other box, because you couldn't take it to the house for some reason, try to block it off that way and save it. But you don't want to lose that, because, you're not like him. You don't have to buy feed, and then you got pollen in there, you got everything you need. So now you're going to treat whatever you get right away, as soon as you get it. And you're going to have live bees come spring, next spring, okay? Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Why is the super called a super?
I told you I was going back in the archives. I can't go clear back there.
Can't go back?
I can't, a super.
I just can't find any address. Why is it called a super?
I do know, you've heard of 10-frame equipment and 8-frame equipment. I do know why they started making and using 8-frame equipment. You know why?
We got old.
Huh?
We got old.
No, I'm trying to tell you where 8-frame equipment come from. 8-frame is the same size as an orange crate. So them cheap berries back in the day, too cheap to buy a box, they was using orange crates to fill them in. Yeah, so that's the. But Jim?
Yes.
We need that answer.
I got it right here.
Okay, what's it say?
It says that.
You're a Superman or woman if you can pick one of these things up. Go on.
No, as far as why it says super, as the name implies, supers are above or superior to the brood nest.
Well, what do you call a brood nest? Okay. Now, if I had a deep super for honey, and I had a deep super that my bees was in, are you telling me that deep super my bees in is not called a super?
Right, yes.
It's just called the brood box.
Yes.
That's too confusing. They're all super. They're all super.
Hey, Dave, we'll sell you a book for $10.
What is that book?
We'll sell you a book for $10.
It's a book for $10. If I had time to read, I'd buy that.
I'm kind of a local guy out of Oklahoma.
Uh-huh.
Been doing this business about 10 years, so I'm running quite a few hives. And the one thing that I've had in mind is moisture.
Moisture.
I have lost 4 hives to moisture. And this last 2 years, I put foot boxes on any hives that I keep it in.
Okay, yeah.
And that seems to be working.
That helps. And you know, moisture problem generally is coming from where the bees are sitting. And you guys might think I'm crazy, and you might take this into consideration. Sometimes if a beehive's sitting here and it just dies every year, if you move that thing over there 10 yards, they live. And the same thing with moisture. I don't know if it's in the area or whatever. You don't want bees in low-lying areas. You want them up, you know, where air can get around them. But seriously, you know, there's just some places beehives just don't like it. I had some out, they was underneath my pine tree in my front yard. I lost them bees every year. I moved them 10 feet, and I was good.
One more for you.
One more before I quit. Yes.
What about if you have mold in your hive?
Mold, okay, so that's one of the good reasons why we went in there and we cleaned all that out. When your hive dies over the winter, as soon as it's dead, you want to clean out the dead bees, okay? Because then you can see there's a little bit of mold there. But that mold's not going to hurt anything. But if you would left that full of bees and everything else and it gets real bad, then, you know, they'll clean it up. It's just a lot harder on them.
These are live bees.
And they still got mold in them?
I pulled the top
On
off.
the mold's under the lid, inner cover, that's kind of the same thing he's talking about. Yeah, so you need, maybe they need a little better ventilation. Remember the little quarter underneath the inner cover, or the little wedge under there, or cock in your lid, they just need, you know, but that mold's not, they'll take care of that.
So I shouldn't take it off, like in the spring, should I take that cover off and like
Scrape it off?
power wash it and put it back on?
I don't know, you might want to scrape it off a little bit, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. All right, see you the next time. They can bring me back once a year whether they want it or not.
I want to ask one question. How many people that had first year hives from last year, those hives didn't make it through the winter? How many, show of hands? And of those people, how many did not treat those hives? So, what, like about half? I'm just curious. I was wondering if it was a treating thing.
And that doesn't, you know, that means a lot, but, you know, you just may, if you did treat and your bees lived, then you could be in a place where there's not many problems going on right now, or there wasn't any problems showing up. And then if you had bees and you treated them, just not enough, you could have been around a beekeeper that had bees that weren't being treated, so.
Thank you so much, Dave.
So
it's so interesting.
I'm looking around, I'm not sure if this applies to anybody. I'm looking for beekeepers that are serious between 18 and 25. Okay, if you meet that criteria, see me after the meeting, okay? Thank you.
What if you're serious in trouble?
I'm looking for them too, because I'll put them to work.
Job application.
Okay, I'm not looking for 18 to 25 years old to take out, because I'm way over that.
It's a scholarship money through the PHS.
18 to 25-year-olds that are serious about beekeeping. You're serious about it. If you're not, don't worry, you won't get it.
We'll go back over here now, the raffle.
Okay, raffle time.